All right, we're live. Welcome to the Geno Thanks podcast. I have a very special guest, Casey. What's up? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Casey. Although he's known me as Sahara from my profile that has my dead cat's name, which I
I
changed
see.
actually so that clients wouldn't find me. So technically, Gino just learned my real name, but that's cool.
Oh, that's
I'm
crazy.
a
I was gonna say you've been catfishing me this whole time.
kind of, but it was the right picture, and it was my dead cat. So
True, true. So, what's your background again?
So I am a board certified behavior analyst and I have a master's in psychology and I'm a nerd. So I read research articles and stuff on mental illness and serial killers and all kinds of things like that for fun. Yeah. And I do art, but that's not related. So
I also want to backtrack a little bit. I just said the catfishing thing because we met like on the little circle game from like the Netflix show, The Circle.
yeah.
So there was a whole like I don't know
And he and
if
I were
yeah.
not, we were not catfish. We were the real people.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I
And
meant like
we called who the catfish were, but no one wanted to believe us.
that's what I'm saying. And they always kick me out. That's why I decided not to just audition for the show because I'm like, if I can't do the online game and win, what's the point? But yeah. So I did want to because like I want to take a little break. I know I normally talk about a lot of like entertainment news and stuff, but during this time especially, I feel like mental health is also really important to talk about right now. And I don't know. I've been going to since I started. Well, I mean, I saw some like therapists like back in the day. Um, that didn't really count. I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but basically, like I personally started I chose myself to see a therapist like since last October, and I've been through like three different ones. Like I'm on my third one now, and it's just like it's hard to find like I don't know a counselor I guess that you get along with that you really feel like has your best interests. So like that's one of the main things that I like am curious to find out like from you. How would you like try to what are your like pros and cons lists or like what's some definite like deal breakers for you as far as like a counselor that you wouldn't like what are some good signs and some bad signs?
Well, I've done counseling multiple times. I really think it's great for anybody. I think self-introspection and analyzing yourself and figuring yourself out and just pursuing personal growth is good for everyone. That being said, you get the wrong counselor, you could definitely do more damage than good. Um, when I went to marriage counseling, well, okay, if you are not religious, then definitely don't get a religious counselor. Even if you like, my experience was with Christian counselors, and even if you may call yourself a Christian, but you don't believe like the whole Bible or whatnot, be careful with that because they'll come from different angles that are not backed by research, but instead by the Bible. And it can be very dangerous, as it was with me and other people I've known over time, where they will actually encourage you to stay in abusive relationships because divorce is wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing I put out there first and foremost is I would just advise everyone, even if you are religious, to not get a religious counselor personally. So
How do you know that they are like it's not like there's a specific site for I mean there might be but I feel like even the
there is
religious
no,
ones
they'll
would
tell you. There are some that will not call themselves a Christian counselor, and so they may be, and Christianity is just the example I'm choosing because that's the one I'm familiar with. So just like me as a person, I could believe all kinds of different things that would influence what I have to say to you, and you wouldn't know that. But a lot of them will advertise themselves as such.
okay.
So yeah.
So I mean what happened with you like they were just trying to push like some religious views on you and
Well, with me and some of my other friends, in my opinion,
I don't
when the
want to get into
man,
it. I forgot you said it was like a couples. Is it like a Christian couples counselor? Is that what it is?
some of them, but let's just put it this way, especially as a female or even as a male, if they're pushing the agenda where like the man is the superior dominant one, and women should submit to their husbands, and divorce is wrong no matter what, et cetera, then I'm sure you could think about how that could play out when there's abuse going on. Or, I mean, even if you're the man, they might not tell you things that you really should work on and that are not okay. I don't know. That's a dangerous one. I would just avoid counselors that present themselves to be a religious counselor. But again, that's my opinion. So if you agree with all of that, then maybe you would think differently. I don't know.
No, I'm saying I totally get it. Like there are definitely some. It's not even about. It could be any kind of like bias. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
there are some like counselors that just want you to have like like a certain problem. Like, oh, it was your childhood. And it's like, what are you talking about? I had a great childhood. Like, why do you keep going back to my childhood? Like, and, something small, some little small detail like that. You know what I'm saying?
And I do believe a lot of our problems, there's a source, which is why sometimes when we think about everything that we feel our own personal issues, it can be daunting. Like, oh my God, how am I going to fix this stuff about myself? Because I've been this way forever. And these are like my reflex responses, my default mode. And it sounds very overwhelming, but they may all come from one source. And a lot of times it is something having to do with our childhood. But you just got to be smart about pinpointing what it is, because if you can work on that source, a lot of times it just goes outwards and starts fixing things naturally in other areas of your life. With the religious thing, I'll just give you an example. When I had two particular counselors, they worked together. They're a husband and wife pastor team. And I went to show them something that happened. And I printed some stuff out, and it had a cuss word in it because it was said from someone else. And when I used it to explain what I was feeling, and I said the cuss word because quoting someone, they got so focused that I said a cuss word that they didn't focus on the actual problem. And then they just started like, they wouldn't even acknowledge that technically I was just quoting the cuss word, but really that's such a small, trivial thing compared to the actual issue at hand. And so when I finally said, you know what, I don't feel like this is working, I don't feel like this is healthy, and I disagreed with them and I decided to leave, my husband at the time decided to stay, and they spent the rest of the session praying for me. So
that must be also like weird because your counselor is the same. Like he's also like a man. Like the men are gonna be like, oh yeah, it's obviously her fault or something. I don't know, right? Would you say that or no?
well, this one was a man and a woman. It was a husband-wife
Oh,
team, but they
I
were
see.
very big on wives submitting to their husbands and all of that. So even as a woman, she was promoting things that personally I would find not very progressive for a feminist movement, which even the word feminist has a lot of attachments to it, but just trying to be simple here. So no, not necessarily with it being a man versus a woman.
She wasn't on your side. Like she didn't when you
No,
decided to leave. She didn't try to talk you into staying or
no,
something.
no.
No,
They both had the same agenda. So
I
yeah.
see. I see. But I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how many? You don't think that there was a way you could have just been like, wait, are you saying that's the last time you went, or you went?
To
You
that
came back?
particular couple, yes.
I know. How come like you couldn't just like explain to them like, hey, this isn't gonna work because of this, and you don't think they would have like changed their methods around
I
your
tried.
particular?
I tried, and they kept criticizing me, and kept focusing on the fact that I used a cuss word when quoting someone. They wouldn't lay off that. They wouldn't
Oh,
address
I see. I
anything.
see. I don't know, cause
So
see, like it gets to the point where I try to call my counselors out on like bullshit sometimes, like, and I try
yeah,
to
they
talk.
were not receptive to that. That did not work with them. They should be receptive, but they weren't, right? So it
It's
was not.
it's kind of hard to like gauge like what it is, because like on one hand, I was gonna say that I wish that the experience I had was kind of more like yours, where they still were like, I don't know, because like to me, it's like in my experience, I would call them out and they're like, oh, you're right, but then it's like maybe you're just telling me what I want to hear, and I don't want to go to therapy just to have someone tell me what I want to hear the whole time.
Well, and there's a lot of different brands of bad, right? So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
one example. The lady that I see now that is technically my son's counselor, but we do like family training and stuff. The reason I really like her is she's real. All right. She speaks real talk. Some people don't like that because The truth can be harsh, but she's kind, she's loving, but she'll say it like it is. And I appreciate that. I think that counseling should be a very safe place. So I definitely don't think a counselor should ever focus on the fact that you said a cuss word over the matters.
Definitely.
I think that is totally ridiculous. And one thing that you'll see, counselors are really trained about how to not tell you what to do. They're supposed to guide you. They're supposed to ask you certain questions that gets your mind working so that really you fix your own problems, but they're just stimulating your mind going in the right direction. So sometimes you'll get counselors that straight up tell you what to do. And that can be very dangerous because A, they can tell you the wrong thing to do and there's repercussions that only you have to deal with. Or B, they could tell you what to do and maybe it's the right thing, but you still haven't learned anything from the lesson because you're literally just doing being like a robot programmed and you haven't learned from it. So I think finding someone that makes your mind work, makes you think things and guides you in the right direction is really important.
But at the same time, it's like, I feel like, to me, in the only way to do that is to like sound like a fortune cookie, kind of. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And then that's the kind of like, that's the criticism I've given a lot of like people that try to give advice of any kind. I'm just like, you sound like a fortune cookie. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't think. Sorry, continue.
I mean, I have experienced people like what you're talking about, but I don't think they're all that way, and I don't think that's good per se. If they're just giving you like book quotes and it just sounds very like programmed, like cookie cutter, no, I don't think that that's going to be a good person. Because I mean, I could sit here and be like, and maybe I do come from a place of like book knowledge, but if I'm like all like woohoo, like Gino, da 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 da, I don't know, something about that to me seems very like fake and rehearsed, and it's not real. I know what I just did was so not specific, but hopefully you're
No, I
feeling
mean, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, but that's what I'm saying. That's how I feel about, especially now that it's like all over. I don't know. I see my counselor like over the phone, like we FaceTime, and it's like hard to really gauge how, if they're a good fit. I don't know. That's how I
there's
feel.
a lot of fast food counselors, right? Where it's just like a drive through and it's super fast and generalized, where they could just spit out the same stuff to everyone. I mean, of course, there's a lot of stuff we could spit out that might be true, but it doesn't really help you like dig down deep and figure shit out. Like if I'm like, Gino, you always need to be a good listener. I don't know. That's not, I could just spit that out, but that's not us talking like in depth about what's going on with you and figuring out. And I think the why behind behaviors is the biggest part. If you don't know the why behind a behavior, then how are you going to develop an effective treatment plan when you don't know what's maintaining that behavior? You have to know that first. And that's why counseling is an investment, because they've got to get to know you. So if I pay you to listen to me for an hour just to tell you about myself, and it might take a few sessions of that before you as a counselor are starting to figure me out and put things together, and I don't like you and I start over and I start over and I start over, I haven't even given the person enough chance to start to get somewhere with me, because first we just have to get on the common ground and you figure me out as a person and know some of my history.
True. I feel like I can never know someone, and I don't know, especially like a counselor. I would never trust a counselor enough. Like I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing, though. Even though we are individuals, and I think that's important to dig in, there's still a lot of universal truths, I suppose. Like you study into human behavior and all of the research behind that, we are all more alike than we are different. So taking that into consideration, it's not rocket science at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
Here's like a short example. I feel like my old counselor, in the middle of our session, he's like, "Oh, we should try this Calm app. Have you tried the Calm app? You know what I'm talking about?"
Yeah, I've seen those. And like you work on breathing methods and stuff.
Yeah, he wanted to do that for 10 minutes. And I just told him, I was like, it seems like you just don't want to talk to me. And he was like, oh no, we don't have to do that. Do you think I should have just done it? Or do you like, but I think he was being like a yes man. Like I was like, wow, what do you mean? You just don't.
His approach may have not been been the best approach, but I do think those things are important, and here's why. Whatever you practice, when you're not actually upset and you're not actually heated, that's the only way for you to get that stuff under your belt to then bring it to the natural environment. Like, imagine yourself having a tool belt of skills. If you've never used those tools when you're calm, then how the hell do you think you're going to magically pull from that tool belt and think to even use them when you're upset and you're stressed? So, ways to help yourself calm down. Sometimes it can be effective to practice that kind of stuff when you're not upset. So you get to the point where it becomes natural. It's going to feel weird at first. Then it will become natural to pull from that when you are upset later. So
I just feel like he could have told me to do it as homework or something. After we got off the session.
I mean, I agree personally. I would feel weird practicing that in front of people. I mean, I'd rather go to like a group meditation or yoga or something that's not so much me on the spot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've like meditated before, and like I think we talked about that, and that's why he like suggested it. So that's why I feel like he was just coming out with some like bullshit like exercise to do.
So no, I don't think it sounds like he utilized it the best, but the intention behind it, there's some validity to it. I mean, breathing. I mean, there's research behind breathing. It is an effective thing, even though if it seems very childlike and simplistic. Even just like smiling and how it like affects your demeanor, like inside your mind, just by actually doing it.
I thought it like adds to your life, doesn't it? You live longer.
Adds to your life.
Yeah, or is that just a myth?
Well, I mean, it actually does things inside your brain chemically. So, I mean, there's changes that it does promote. But at the same time, if you're not in a receptive mode to something, then it's not going to work. So you as a person might need things done in a certain way. And that's part of the whole getting to know someone. I personally don't want to sit there and practice breathing in front of someone while they stare at me. It's weird. I'm uncomfortable. I would also prefer them tell me about the different methods and then me do it on my own time. So I just use it.
I also could have explained it like that instead of like I got like kind of like mad, like what the fuck. You just want to waste my time.
Well, and keep in mind though, like I said, it's an investment. So some of the things that they're doing, it may seem like a waste of time, but you also have to remember, like, they're not going to be able in 1 hour to just like get it, figure it out, and give you all the answers you need. Case closed.
No, yeah, it wasn't like the first session. It was already like multiple sessions in, which is why I feel like he was running out of ideas, and so he was like, "Try this out."
And he may not have been as good. That's why usually counselors will post like what their specialties are, and what they just are naturally. Whether it's that they have more research in that area, but also just their natural abilities. What are they better? What are they more in tune to? You know. Maybe an addictions counselor struggled with addiction in their past, so they're better for it because they get it. They understand it.
Oh, true. Yeah, I don't know the background necessarily of this counselor. They just happened to work in the same like office or something, so I just transferred to like another person.
Did you feel more comfortable with the next person?
I did kind of, because she seemed she seemed to be a little bit, I don't know. See, I don't know if it's a good thing to have like an older or like a younger counselor, because like the one I have now, she's like younger than the previous guy. So,
well, think about you and your friendships. Have you never met an older person that was dumb as a rock, or just like didn't get it, and then a younger person that just was wise?
Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
It's really dependent on a person. I don't think age is a good factor to go by at all.
But then the other factor I was thinking of was because it was also like a girl this time. I don't know. I felt
maybe
like
you feel more comfortable with a female burying yourself and being vulnerable to a female, or maybe her approach was just better fit for you, right?
Or also, I mean, I don't know if you like delve too deep into this topic, but like I also like they were both white. Like, do you think that has anything to do with it too? Like, does race play a factor at all?
That depends on you.
I mean, I feel like, for example,
it depends on them if they responded to you in a different way because of your race, but I think a lot of it would depend on you.
That's why I'm saying I feel like I don't know. I don't want to I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, that's why I feel like they don't necessarily really care about what I'm talking about. So that's why they're gonna come up with these like dumb little exercises like do the Calm app.
Then that's not a good counselor. I mean, I feel like I can I feel like I'm good at getting in people's shoes and understanding a lot of things, but at the same time, if you wanted to come to me about advice on something that I have never experienced whatsoever, I can tell you some things that I've learned and picked up, but I'm not going to be the best person for you. So if race is a factor in maybe some of the issues you're having, like I don't know, maybe
Here's another example. I'm sorry to cut you off. Never mind. Continue. I don't want to cut you
oh,
off. What were you
I
saying?
mean, I was just going to give an example. Like I don't know if you're in a like you're a white guy, she's a black girl, and your families are clashing, and there's all this drama, or maybe someone that's been through that could do a better job at like addressing. I don't know. I'm just trying to give an example, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, these are all just like examples. Well, this one kind of like happened. I don't know. Yeah, so this is another thing that made me feel super weird. Is like he on the website. I remember because I looked him up before I, like decided to go see one or whatever online, and it said that he did. I don't remember now if it said that he. I'm pretty sure it's never mind. He didn't say like he dealt with like LGBT or anything like that, but he did say he dealt with couples. And then I started like talking to him about what was going on or whatever, and then he said like, "Oh well, I don't really deal with gay couples," and I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean? Couples are couples, like you know what I'm saying?"
I guess with my example, I was thinking more about like okay, if I hope I'm not like picking bad words because I'm totally just trying to like be general, but if there's a black culture environment within the home and that's so different for the white person or vice versa, and the counselor didn't understand one of those cultures. But with you, I mean, yeah, I still feel like there's universal truths just because people are human beings or people are people and understanding how people work. So as far as what he said to you, that sounds to me like he probably has a bias.
Exactly, and I'm like, "You can't help me, like what the fuck?"
Yeah, that's why it's hard. That's why it does suck because you can waste money going through people that just they suck. And then you've like wasted all of that time that you've invested and you've shared your story. And then you just get sick of it. You're like, I don't feel like talking about all my crap again. So, just try to do your research on somebody, see what they say their specialties are.
No, and then listen. Like I got really mad because
And
he would tell me to do stuff, and like, "Oh, we'll talk about this." I don't want to. You're right. Let me not get into just bashing him this whole time. What were you saying? I'm so sorry. I just can't
I feel
stop
like
thinking about.
I feel like for me, I get a pretty good intuition on people, somewhat from their photos. And I know like don't judge someone. I don't know. You can call it what you want, but I feel like we all have intuition, some more than others. So and especially when I meet someone in person and I see their mannerisms and stuff, I get kind of a feel for them. And usually I'm pretty spot on to whether I feel like somebody and I know what I want. Like I know I want a person who's down to earth, does not have all those biases in as much as possible, or at least is progressed enough to be self-aware of their own biases and actively trying to work on that stuff.
But
But
that's not. I don't know. Like it's just hard to like talk to them. I don't know because now I kind of have the same bias too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't blame him because like now I'm saying like the girl is the counselor, and I feel like I can't like fully. I don't know. You think
well,
that's?
our biases are also based on our experience. So like if you end up thinking girl counselors are better than guy counselors, I'm
I'm
not
just saying, how could she really have input on like two gay guys like relationship?
yes,
Like you're
yes.
right, you're right.
Because as long as she's not like anti-gay, which is going to influence the crap that she says to you, she still should understand how two people work and their love languages, and that should have nothing to do with your genders. She should understand the basics of healthy communication, the basics of human conflict, and the conflict that you would have with other family members possibly, and none of that should be based on someone's gender, right? So yeah, I do still feel
I
like
mean, I'm kind of like skipping ahead too. It's not. I'm thinking about a lot of stuff at the same time, and I'm only like giving you like a little bit each time. All right, but like my main thing is like a lot of people out there, you know, like for example, the I don't know, yeah, the marriage counselor or whatever. I don't know. In general, people tend to believe in like monogamy, I guess, too, right? So like they would kind of push for that. And so I feel like
in our society.
yeah, exactly. And so a lot of people would just be like, "Oh, well, you know, you're wrong for not for thinking that way, so you should just like move on and forget about."
Ask them to support it. Ask them to provide empirical evidence as to why they're right and you're wrong.
It's not, and that's the thing. They're like saying like it's not about right or wrong. It's about like, you know, sometimes people can be different, and I'm just like, no, but I'm trying to convince someone that my idea is the better one. I don't know. I don't know. We haven't gotten to this. I don't know. I
I
don't know how you
need
feel.
something more specific that you're asking me to know how to respond.
I don't know. You believe in monogamy?
I believe in I know what works for me better. I'm not going to bash it for what works for other people. I will say that I have yet to see it be successful with any of the people, because I know a lot of people that are into polyamory, and I have yet to see it be successful with any of them.
See, that's the thing. I'm not even saying I'm not pro poly either. That's totally different. I'm not talking about having two wives or, you know, two husbands. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about one person, but yeah, like a side chick. I don't think there's anything wrong with having like a side
You're talking
side
about
piece.
an open relationship.
Basically, yeah.
Well, then I would have to ask you, what are your values in a relationship? And does your partner's values, are they the same? But so far, even with the setup that you're discussing, so far, I have still never seen it be healthy and work out long term, because one partner ends up jealous.
Well, have you seen the other way work?
Sometimes,
Really?
I mean, there's like,
That you know of, because the
I mean,
most successful ones never talk about their private business. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we could go there, but I mean, the divorce rate is high, but I have met people that seem genuinely happy. And I mean, nothing's perfect, but they're not toxic, you know? I mean, is it all an act? I don't know. That'd be a hard act to put on for people, but it could be. But surely there's always going to be exceptions to any rule.
I'm sure kids change things a lot too.
Yeah, kids change things no matter who you are, what parts you got, what they're in something challenging no matter what situation you're pursuing. I will say this though, logistics. Okay, so if you have, whether you're polyamorous or it's a side piece, unless it's just sexual, what happens when your main partner and your other partner, assuming it's not just sexual, they both have something happen, like a bad day or whatever, at the same time? Who do your loyalties go to? Because you can only split yourself so thin. Like, it's hard enough to take care of yourself, let alone accommodate another person. Like, it's hard enough to like learn one person's love languages and figure things out, let alone extra people. So who do you pick?
That's what I'm saying, and that's what it comes down to. It's like that's why I say I don't believe in
Are you
necessarily.
frozen or thinking? I'm not sure.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me?
You there? Uh-oh. We are experiencing technical issues.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. If you said anything after what I said, start over, because
Okay, yeah, no, I could hear you saying that you couldn't hear me, so I don't know. I just restarted it, but
okay.
so yeah, I heard the question. I was saying, it's that's why I don't necessarily believe in full polyamory or whatever. But I also don't believe in full monogamy. I'm like in the middle.
Well, I think the most important thing would be maybe figuring out why you like what you like and why you feel that way.
It's like this. It's I think I don't know if I don't remember, but it's like haven't you ever had like a celebrity crush list?
Mm, not so much. I'm not. I've never been one of those type of like girls. I do think
Not
Leonardo DiCaprio was pretty dreamy though, especially like in Romeo and Juliet and Titanic.
exactly. So if you were to find a husband, like I would hope that your husband would allow you the one if you had the opportunity to like hook up with Leonardo DiCaprio. I would hope that he would want that for you because he knows how important it is to you to experience that, and he would love you so much that he'd be like, yeah, like go for it. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm just
Okay. All right. Let's say if he did allow that, what if I got an STD from Leo? And then I passed it to my husband. That'd be pretty fucked up. What if
no,
he got
no, that's irresponsible. If you felt like there could have been a chance that that would have happened, then it would be up to you, and it'd be your responsibility to go get tested before you did it again with your husband.
okay, but what if Leo lied to me about his test results? Then he still gave me something. We used a condom, but he still gave me something anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that's
There's
the
fallout. What if I
that's the
get knocked out?
consequences of your.
The condom broke, but you see, it affects other people, not just me. Like, then what do I do when I now have to have a kid with my husband and still make time for a kid with Leo, who's going to travel all over the place? Like, there's a lot you need to think about there.
You don't know. That might be like child support. Like, what do you mean? Is Leonardo
That,
DiCaprio?
well, first of all, as a parent, that's not fair to that child. How am I going to split myself? Like, I'm choosing to do something that could have results that would hurt my husband, hurt my current child, and hurt my potential future child because I'm only one human being and I only have so much time and energy to give.
Of course, there's other factors like safety and stuff. I'm talking about in a scenario where it would be 100% safe. How about that?
There is no scenario that doesn't exist. You never know.
I'm saying like
You're in a fantasy world.
say that it was just say he want we don't it doesn't even have to be hooking up. Say that he wanted to take you for a vacation for a week on his private island, and you weren't hooking up. It was just a vacation. He wanted you to get away, get your mind right, mental health. You know what I'm saying? But technically, that would be cheating if you were to go away with someone for a week. That
If
would
my
still be
husband,
something that I feel like.
I mean, it wouldn't be cheating if the agreement between the couple, right, was a different one. Personally, this is hard for me because I don't really develop those kind of feelings unless I have emotional attachment with someone and really get to know somebody. I don't just see someone and be like, "Oh my god, I want to fuck them." Like that's not how I operate. But I still would have to question, okay, well, what is it within you that makes it desirable for you to still have sex with Leo and I mean, and still want to have sex with your husband? I mean, just think about these things.
Because
What
it's not it's like I don't know, you can separate your feelings and your romantic feelings from just like I don't know, that's what I'm saying. That's something I feel like you think that's like a man woman thing or just like a difference of opinion thing like.
No, I think what we're talking about would be interesting to say, like, is it healthy? Is there something, though, about this desire that might point towards something inside of you being broken, something inside of you needing to be addressed? You may say, no, I really don't think so, but I do think you should still explore it. But either way, you and your partner need to have the same values for that to work out. And
That's what
this
I'm
is
saying.
not,
I'm
this is
just
not
trying.
my expertise. I have, again, this is a subject where I can really only share my personal. But I haven't seen this work with anyone ever before.
But that's what I'm saying. You haven't necessarily seen the other way work truly either.
Yeah, well, I have. No, I've seen some like happily married couples.
You've never seen some happily married thruples. That's a thing now.
No, personally, I haven't, and I'm not saying they don't exist. But when I say happily married, I also mean like it needs to last for like a certain amount of time for me to conclusively say it's working. Because all the ones I've seen so far, in my personal experience, I've never seen any make it past a year. And it's always the same issues that destroy it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the times, also the people that end up staying together, it's because of those like, oh well, I feel like this is what we should do because of Christianity or whatever bias they have to stay together.
Well, and the
that's
ones that
more
I'm using, we need to, I mean, here we need to get into the nitty gritty of definitions, what defines a happily married couple. I'm trying to talk about those that don't fall into the category you're speaking of right now. The ones, again, unless they're completely faking it to me, but the ones that, work through their issues effectively. They're good at conflict resolution. They truly make each other better people, et cetera, et cetera. And they choose to stay together because they do love each other and not other reasons. And again, like every culture is different, every person's different. I am not saying one thing's right or wrong. I'm only sharing with what I've seen and the questions that come to my mind that I would want someone to answer. And I don't know, maybe there's people out there that have seen this stuff. They've seen a lot more than me, and they could like enter right now and be like, and like tear me down. That's so possible.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of worried now about putting this out because I don't know if I like.
Well, then put it out with a disclaimer that we're both sitting here saying we're just having a personal conversation. I'm not saying this is wrong. I am not saying that. I can only speak from my personal experience.
Yeah, it's about people's different values and stuff, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to say most people's values are fake and my values are like the real ones. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like
now that's a bullshit.
That's all I'm saying. I feel like it's rare that you're gonna find everything you want 100% of the person you want in one person. Yeah. So if someone is not, you might find someone that's 90%. So if someone else has that 5%, like why would your significant other hold you back from that other 5%? That's all I'm saying.
Simplifying it, you're still leaving out a lot of the consequences that think about like a risk benefits analysis, right?
Here's how I see it though. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna flip it on you, okay? So flip it. Because your husband is like, no, you can never get with Leonardo DiCaprio, blah blah blah. So what I feel like that's eventually gonna do is it's gonna make you like over time, it's gonna make you like have resentment. And then you're just going to end up like exploding one day and you're just going to go to the bar and like do it with some random dude that looks like Leonardo DiCaprio when he's drunk.
When I'm drunk. Yeah. When I'm drunk.
Yeah. When you're drunk. That's what I meant.
Like, oh my God.
So that's exactly.
But again, that goes back to me and my hypothetical husband having different values, right? All of that should be covered in the agreement before someone even enters the whole marriage thing, which I'm not a huge fan on the whole marriage thing, because of the legalities involved and how sticky it can be and it being a controlled institution. I don't know. Like I'm cool with people being that way without the actual ceremony, if that's, or whatever. I mean, I know there's tax cuts and blah, 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 but I don't know. After my personal experience and others that I've observed, I'm just sort of like iffy on the whole marriage thing.
I totally get it. Like even when they made like gay marriage legal, it was never like a big deal. I was one of those people that's like, yeah, now I want to get married for the benefits. Yeah, let's fucking do it. What are you talking about? Like,
well, for me though, it's important. It was important just because it was an option. Like, is marriage important to you or to me or whatever? But the fact that it should at least be a freaking option, because if heterosexuals are allowed to get married, any human being should be able to have the same option.
You're right. I just didn't, I don't know. I felt like they made a show of it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I didn't like.
It was a big deal though. That's a big deal. And for some people, they really want marriage. They really do want that. But
True.
it's hard because it's also an institution that's very much controlled by a certain religion.
And
And
also, like, would you get married with a prenup?
there was a wedding of someone I know, and they actually said in their vows, you know, they didn't say the standard ones. They put unless you do da 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 da, which is like smart, but at the same time, it does kind of take the romance out of
Wait,
things.
what they put on there? I'm curious to know.
I mean, they put like, unless you cheat, unless you, I can't even remember all the things, but they had like a
Wow,
list.
they said that.
Yeah, they
Why
actually
would
said it.
you? Why would you even mention that on your wedding? That show. I don't know. That's like that shows you're too
Well,
insecure to get married.
okay, hold on though. But wait, you said a minute ago about how you didn't like how people were like, well, they just stay in it because of the kids, or they just stay in it because people tell them to. Well, they didn't say the vows that they were told to say, the standard expected vows. They said their own true vows. They laid
I
it out
see.
for real. So you got to give them some props for that. But
True.
I could sit here and say, when I go up there and I say the little, and remember, this stuff comes from like Christianity, right? Which I don't fully agree with. So I'm like spouting out crap that's not what I fully agree with. So I could say, till death do us part. And in my head, say, there's an unspoken truth that till death do us part, unless you hit me in the face or insert whatever here. But that's not technically how that institution works. It's really meaning till death do us part. People change a lot, and people can hide things and then show you true colors later. That's why the whole marriage thing is scary to me.
That's what I'm saying. I don't feel like anyone. You could know someone for 20 years and like you still wouldn't be ready to marry them. I personally feel like.
That's just why I wouldn't choose to do it again. I don't know. I lost where you are. I can't find you. I had a pop-up thing, and now I don't know who you are.
It's okay. It's okay. I know you do got to get going in a little bit, but I don't want to leave without having everyone know where they can follow you or find you if you want them to reach out.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I would ask though, at least anyone that watches this and disagrees, keep in mind we're trying to give personal opinions on some of these things, right? So at least do us the favor of stopping for a minute and thinking about it and asking us what we mean, because there's so many times there's misunderstandings where someone gets mad at something that the other person wasn't really trying to say. It's like miscommunication, or asking someone to clarify better, or just coming to us civilly to discuss it and having like a healthy conversation going back and forth. I think that's fun. But if people want to come at and just attack, and when you come from that part of your brain, there's no point in it. So I won't put energy towards that, I guess. I'm saying.
Why do you think a bunch of people are like about to attack us over this or something?
I mean, it is the internet. Everyone's got an opinion, and people are very quick to make assumptions or just get triggered and pissed off about stuff.
True.
Oh,
Well, I don't know.
I'm trying to put a disclaimer out there, a preventative thing. Be like, if you feel that way, why don't you reach out to us in a civil manner, and we'd love to discuss it. But if you're not civil, I'm just letting you know ahead of time. There's no point in that conversation and that energy exchange, and I'm just not going to respond.
Okay. Well, I welcome it all. Whatever you could, if you want to spam the comments with some like bullshit, you could do that too. I don't care. I welcome.
Mail and start stalking. Gino is inviting. He's like, bring it. I love that kind of stuff.
I have a serious question before you go. I have a serious question. So I know that like when you're talking to like a counselor, you can't be like, you can't tell them you're going to harm yourself or anyone else, right? But can you tell them like, oh, hey, I was stalking you, right? Can you tell them that?
You can talk to them about suicidal thoughts, but if they think that you're actually going to do it, then
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like stalking them to get to know more.
Because I want to stalk them. Well, you got to define stalk. You just mean like
cyber stalking.
In my opinion, healthy stalking, like looking up all the reviews, and that's doing your homework.
No, I mean I found their Facebook and stuff.
But are you doing it because you want to see what kind of person they are?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not about to murder anyone.
I tell people that even when I like have people come into my house as roommates, I always ask for their info and their Facebook, and I was like, I want to stalk you before you live here. I tell them straight up.
But I'm saying, can you stalk your therapist like that?
I mean, it's up to them whether they want to accept your friend request or to make their
No,
information
I'm
private.
not even. I'm not even like adding them. I'm just like looking them
Exactly.
up.
But if their information isn't private and you can see it, then I say you're just doing your due diligence. It's healthy home.
Exactly. Exactly. But I didn't want to tell them that because I didn't want them to be like, oh, they overstepped their. I don't know.
No, I agree with it.
True. True. All right. Well, yeah. So thank you once again so much for stopping by the Geno Thanks podcast. And yeah, everybody tune in next week. I'm gonna have another guest. And but whenever you want to come back, Casey, you can come back anytime. We can talk about this. You know, we can talk about like another 4 hours about this because we were just talking in circles. Like there's no,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess if somebody wants to talk to me specifically, they can just go to you and ask for my info.
Okay. Sounds good.
And you can let me know.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I can stalk that person first before I say yes.
True. True. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Thanks. Signing out.